to another rip-roaring edition of A Quantum View. We got a special guest on tonight. We're going to be talking with Ty from Energy Wellness. He creates a lot of orgonite that is very important for a lot of planetary healing. Bob, how's it going today, my friend?
Oh, baby. We moved the house. We moved the studio. I mean, really, seriously. I mean, I have brains on the mind. It's like,
is it a big mess?
No, it looks really, really nice now. But like, when you take it and you take everything apart at one end, and you have a pile about 4 feet high on the floor, and have equipment and wires and everything else, and then you're gonna move them to another place, and you can't bump into anything, you can't move anything. Everything's got to be handled like with care. Then you get to the new place, and it's like, where did I put that? And where does this go? And I got this wire. Where's the other end? It was funny. It was really, really funny. But
yeah,
I mean, obviously,
I have to say, been there, done that.
Yeah, I mean, it's up. It's fine. It's better than ever. I probably have more power right now than most radio stations.
Well, look who you've got on the other end. You got lots of power. Let me tell you.
Yeah. I know. I was talking to Kay before on Ty. I mean, on the Skype and that, because we couldn't get him yesterday. I tried. I was like, hey,
I think he's on now, isn't he?
Yes, he is. I see him right here.
Oh, nice. So I talked with John Allen in Australia today on Skype, and he's wearing a toque and 2 jackets and a pair of woolly galoshes.
Did you see his hat? You got to see the hat. I mean, the hat will knock you down.
Oh, my goodness. It's like, you're in Australia and you're wearing winter clothing. And they're in their winter.
They're freezing.
Yeah, they're freezing.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I invited him up to Winnipeg in wintertime to see what winter is really about. Never mind this, it's minus 5 degrees. Try minus 30 degrees Celsius and see what your boys look like after a day of that, let me tell you.
Yeah, but up by your house, Nate, you can ski right off as a ski lope, right off your roof.
I remember in 1965, I think it was, in Winnipeg, you had to get out of your house, out of the top floor, and dig through the snowbank because there was so much snow, so big a blizzard.
Right.
It was a record-breaking blizzard for sure.
I remember the one time that it was so bad that the blizzard like went up against the side of our house, and to get out the back door you had to tunnel out.
Yeah, you know what? And those are all stories we talk about when we get older and we can barely remember it. And I remember when I had to use Eaton's catalogs for toilet paper and stuff like
Yeah, no, it was Sears, I thought.
Let's get to our guest. Ty from Energy Wellness are intuitive healers working mostly in informal environments. They make house calls to friends and family, for instance. Most of their work is in healing noxious earth energies, clearing spaces, cleaning sky energies, and lifting pain off the land. And, of course, helping people remove parasites, both physical and other types, energetic. Their Chi Orgon healing tools were developed to help them manage their EMF sensitivities, to ward off parasitic vibrations and clear spaces. Lots of preparation, space clearing, intuitive know-how, and many types of healing frequencies go into each of their pieces for maximum healing effect. Both Ty and Nora were both born with many intuitive skills and have self-taught many energy healing techniques. They also developed their own techniques, but have currently formally trained in quantum distance healing modalities. The main focus is to help communities heal parasitic vibrations of all types and bring back the idea of trusted, local, and inexpensive spiritual, physical, holistic healing. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Ty. Ty, how's it going, my friend?
Great. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah, Ty, we hear you.
Is somebody drilling something in the background?
I thought he was flushing the toilet there for a minute.
No.
You make orgonite. A lot of people have seen this type of thing at health food stores and crystal stores and metaphysical stores, and a lot of people know about it. What brought you to the point where you decided that you needed to make your own orgonite?
Well, I got EMF sickness, and a friend of mine gave me an energy tool, and I put that thing right next to my ear, and I noticed a difference. And then he also had an orgonite, and I put that next to my ear, and it made difference. So I immediately became very aware of crystal energies and became very fascinated with it. Plus, it just kind of helped my overall mood and the EMF sickness.
EMF sickness. Now, a lot of us have heard about EMFs, ELFs, and a lot of people say that it's the reason for things like fibromyalgia and dizziness and a lot of different symptoms. What exactly is EMF sickness?
Well, for me, it was a lot of ringing in the ears around electrical environments. So like a lot of white noise and ringing in the ears in electrical environments. And I didn't know about EMF sickness, but I did notice when I would go out into a park or nature, it was gone. Go back into civilization's mode and it would manifest again. My mood, very, very anxious and grumpy. Get some relief by going for a walk. And when it was really bad, I actually went camping for a month.
Okay, so kind of grounding back to nature a little bit seemed to help a little bit, right?
Yeah. Since I was, deciding to still live in cities and stuff, I had to find more solutions, and Orgonite seemed to be a really good solution. I started playing with making it. I started making more and more adjustments to the ingredients to fit my sensitivities. That's where I'm at today.
What exactly is this Orgonite stuff?
Well, Orgonite is basically a matrix of metal particulates, shavings or powders, and a carbon material. In this case, it's usually resin or polyester resin, but it can be the carbon base could be wax, natural resins, just about anything. But traditionally, people use polyester resin, and this attracts and repels life energy. The matrix basically does it very, very quickly and fast, and that emanates basically a life energy. And this was measured and proven to be true by Wilhelm Reich in the early 20th century, and he made orgone boxes, which is a slightly different, I wouldn't say more primitive, but a different sort of device for healing. There you go.
Now, I'm looking at a piece that you've made. You sent me quite a few of them. Thank you very much, my friend. These pieces are going to be on my website very soon. We're going to be carrying them. So we've got organic compounds. We've got some metal compounds. The interaction of it all, the combinations, does it make a difference on what you use and what layer you use them? What exactly is the turn on here of the Orgonite?
There's a lot of different views on how to layer, whether or not to layer, and I play with basically all the different ways people can do it. So I do different layers. Usually you go from a lighter metal like titanium and aluminum, and you layer it up from steel to maybe brass, and usually copper is a top layer that's very popular. And then at the very top of it, you usually have a crystal. It could be just a normal quartz crystal or a specialized one like a lumarian or something like that. And then that kind of amplifies the orgone field, the chi field. There you go.
If anybody listening has any questions for Ty or myself about Orgon, Bob, what's that phone number?
The number is 1-843-300-1399.
I'm trying to understand the concept of this myself also. I obviously work with energy and I know energy quite well. The whole Orgon thing is relatively new to me.
Okay.
You got a pyramid here.
You have a pyramid there.
Now, on the bottom, you've got a copper coil, it looks like, in a specific design. It looks like spiral inside of itself.
Yes, it's called usually a galaxy coil or an SBB coil, and it basically winds one direction, goes all the way to the center, and kind of does an S turn and goes all the way out. And this creates kind of a positive or a negative vortex energy, so depending on which way it's flipped. So on the bottom, I have basically what's called a clockwise orientation to it, so it basically brings the energy up through the piece, through the different layers, and then out through the top. Does that make sense? Now, this galaxy coil, I didn't know this when I had started making these, but it's ended up being one of the most ancient sacred shapes on the planet. It's in New Zealand, the Hopi have it, the Celtics have it. It's all over the place. It's like one of the oldest shapes on the planet, and I didn't know that, but there you go.
Wow, interesting.
So it must mean something to the ancients, but I couldn't tell you what that means.
Well, I'm looking at it right now, and not really getting some kind of draw on it. I want to spin it. It makes me want to spin it, which is kind of cool. The pyramid I'm holding, it looks like it's got aluminum. What's the black stuff in there?
The black stuff, most likely.
It's not black goo, is it?
No, gosh, no. It's black iron oxide. And usually on that black layer, or sometimes it's a brown layer because I've mixed it with copper, that's my super energy powder that I've added to nearly all my pieces. Basically came up with a powdered herb, crushed crystal powder to basically boost and clean the pieces. And this is what's the kind of cool, unique thing about our Orgonite.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask what makes yours different than anybody else. You just answered that question. So you put a little bit of Thai in there in the mix, right? That's interesting. I received my first Orgonite from a client of mine named Donna Sircone. She also makes her own. When I opened this box, it's at some kind of temple. It's got 6 different pieces to it. It's quite large. I felt incredibly giddy. I felt as if I wanted to hug this stuff, hold this stuff, and never let it go, and couldn't stop laughing. Is that kind of the normal scenario when somebody for the first time gets some Orgonite?
Most people who have good energy do want to grab it and touch it, and they're very fascinated with it. I have noticed that some people with some sort of more of a like parasitic guests tend to kind of like look at it and kind of walk away.
Okay.
So that could be a good or a bad thing, but most people who are clean or want to be clean really find that the vibration that it emanates very pleasing. Kids love it. If I've ever put a table out, the people that come to it right away are kids. And they're asking their mom or dad to go, hey, can you buy me this cute little shape? They're not particularly knowing what it is, but they know it's cool.
I'm sure my son would have a ball with it.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe the energy that came off it. And for me, I get things all the time. I get new tools from my tool maker, and it's like, okay, it looks really cool. Let's see what it can do. But when I grabbed the Orgonite without a word of a lie, I didn't want to put it down. It had this feeling to it that really brought my vibration up. It was really cool. Now, when would somebody use Orgonite in their house, and how would they use it within their house to help the energy?
Well, typically people use it to put it near their TV or their wireless device, their computer, or any sort of negative electrical area in their house. And that seems to convert the EMF field into a more harmonious sort of vortex-y feeling. I couldn't tell you all the science behind it because that would require devices I just don't have, so I have to do it intuitively. But most people feel better in the room with this stuff, especially if they're using it in a higher EMF environment, your office, at work, that sort of thing.
Now, I noticed one piece that you have, and it's a wall plate for plugging into a wall outlet. To me, that makes a whole lot of sense. What I've done with some people and in my office and my house is I've taken off the plastic switch plate off of the receptacle and the light switch and put a small magnet, the neodymium magnet in there, and it stops the electromagnetic currents from coming out. And you can actually feel a pulsing on the wall when you do this, the electricity going back in. There's a pulsing for a few seconds, and you can actually tell a difference. Is that the same effect that this wall plate has?
Well, yeah, I have some consumer grade EMF meters, and I've measured some of the EMF fields coming out of the electrical outlets. One of the electrical outlets in my house was really, I guess, hot, you'd say. It just had some stuff in the radio waves and EMF. And Nora, my partner in all this, she just didn't like it without having to measure it. She said, we need to build a piece of Orgonite and put that over there. And I thought, well, that's a really great idea. So we figured out a design. I found a mold, and we did it, and we like it. There are EMF fields and whatever coming out of certain sockets. So I think it's a really good idea. Plus, it just looks cool. It's a nice black or brown square. Doesn't look like an ugly wall wart sort of situation. So
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting concept. Again, the EMF phenomena, how is somebody going to know? I mean, your symptoms were one sort. Is there any way of somebody knowing for sure if their bodies are being affected by EMFs?
You would probably need to get an intuitive healer that knows how to muscle test. You could actually muscle test that area for people, test how their body's reacting to it, and then you would know.
Things like fibromyalgia or tinnitus or brain fog, are those all basic symptoms of EMFs?
Yeah, this weekend I took a trip to the big city, and they had the cell phone towers like about one story off the street. And I just felt a tremendous amount of brain fog around that. And it seemed like everyone else did too, and it didn't really stop until, I left that field. I really do think you lose a bit of concentration if you are around a high EMF field, and these things definitely can help, for sure.
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
There is a question here for Ty on in the chat room, and it comes from Canada. It's how long does it take for the Orgonite to work in terms of filling the room or a room up with its energy?
When you are working with subtle energies, most of the time they work pretty immediately. I mean, I don't think there's much of a time lag. You should feel a difference immediately. The only thing possibly is if you have a parasitic sort of vibration consciousness in the room, it may take a little while to scoot that out, depending on how stubborn it is.
There you go. So you get a feeling like Chris was saying before. You're going to get in the middle of the floor net and do a cha-cha on your back. but what you just said about the parasitic thing. Now, Chris, I think that's your department. I think the two of them, there's a good marriage there.
Well, that's why Ty and I are working closely together to get these products out, to bring awareness to them, which is just an awesome thing. Ty, have you tried at all using the Orgonite within any of the energy tools that you have?
Oh, yes. The sun ring that you sell with the Orgonite, like the plate, is amazing. It boosts the field. They're just synergistic. It's huge. Most people who are sensitive would be able to feel that went from 1 to 10. So I highly recommend getting one of the sun rings with one of these.
Okay, so what I'm going to do right now, I got the plate and I've got a sun ring, and I'm going to hold it up to the microphone and send that energy through. And let's see if anybody in the chat can feel this happening. Now, we're always playing with energy on this show. We're always throwing good stuff around. Let's throw some Orgon energy through the sun ring and see if anybody can feel it. Just chime in if you can feel this energy. The sun ring really amplifies it and sends it. So if somebody wanted to set up a grid within their house or their property, is there a specific way of doing that? Have you ever experienced that at all?
I have moved ley lines, gridded houses. I've done just about everything, an energy worker can do with these. Yeah, definitely 4 corners of the house works really well. 4 corners of the property is very good. It depends on how much, how many you have. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I've heard about certain people who make Orgonite and planting it outside of large cities, like making a grid and making comments that crime has come down, that there's a much better feeling of energy within the city, and it's more of a pleasant place to live. Have you heard anything about that?
Oh, yeah. The traditional lore of Orgonite was that each piece radiates within maybe a half to a quarter mile. I don't think it's quite that much, but hundreds of yards maybe more, depending on how much EMF is around your environment. But definitely, if you put it in your office, it's going to have pleasant healing effect all through the other offices near you. Highly recommended.
Well, I got about 50 pounds of it in my office. I must have the brightest office on the block. I also noticed that you have some spheres.
I've been trying to, besides the fancy layered ones, which take me many, many hours to do, trying to make some simpler ones that have all the ingredients at a little bit less of a cost so that people could get a nice, powerful, chi generator or orgonite cheaply. So the sphere is way more absorbent, and I've tested this with an EMF meter. I've gone, to a wireless device and got the exact same ingredients. One was a pyramid, one was a sphere, and the sphere absorbed more negative energy, which, according to sacred geometry, is how it should work. So these are about an inch or so in diameter. There's a coil in the middle of it, and it's basically all super energy powder mixed with probably copper, black iron oxide, brass, and a little bit of aluminum powder. And I take one everywhere I go. They are just great. They fit in your purse, your pocket, just feel pleasant, and they're not expensive.
Well, and that's the big thing. A lot of people think that the more expensive something is, the better it is. But you and I both know that it's not about money. It's about getting it out there. You get it out there, and then the money comes in. You don't want to be the most expensive person on the block thinking you're going to be the most busiest. Let me tell you that right now.
Exactly. Well, Nora and I do put a lot of work into these. So, I spend a day making it, and I spend a day making special individualized cards for each piece. I spend a whole day putting frequency into the orgonite. I use specific frequencies, and I use several different devices to put frequency into it, and that's a whole nother day of doing it. And there just isn't really any way for me to make a lot of money spending 4 days making a batch, whereas I could spend 1 day making a batch, but I spend the whole 4 days.
Well, so, the proof is in the pudding, right?
Yes, exactly. Basically, all the intuitive people I know that have had them just love them. That's really what they're for.
We have a little proof, by the way, on that orgonite. It says, it's from Canada. It says, feels like I stuck my finger in a happy light socket. It says, nice feeling. What is the name of that wall plate?
Well, I call it a charging plate. It's the super energy powder. It has 2 coils. It's the size of a small, kind of a medium saucer. And I call them a charging plate because I have a lot of crystals. I live in the Pacific Northwest. There's not a lot of sun, which is the traditional way of charging crystals. So I made these, and it works very well for keeping your crystals all nice and shiny.
We also got this though too, and you also put the energy up to the mic, and it says, I was feeling blah, now I'm smiling, still feeling it, yet pleasant. But on the other hand, Annette, we also have a browser in Australia that went out when you did it. So you see, I'm blaming it all on you, so it doesn't matter.
Now we're going to run the energy of the pyramid and sun ring through. Soak that in. Let's hear about it. Now, the ingredients that you're using for the orgonite, have you ever tried or thought about using shungite?
Yes, and I do use shungite. I was hoping that I think one of the pendants I sent you had a shungite as one of the point pieces that was on the list, so check into that. I'm holding a sphere with a shungite. Shungite is amazing, and what is working very, very well for me is getting one of those shungite pyramids and putting them on top of the charging plate or charging disc. That is just, it's very similar to putting the orgonite in one of your sun rings. It just blasts. It's very harmonious.
The charging plate itself could be considered a form of a radionic device then, right?
I'm pretty sure it is. I hadn't really used it as such until I started working with your stuff, and then I kind of figured, it's pretty much a radionics device. So it can be used very similar to how the sun ring is used. I'm pretty sure you could put a piece of paper and an intent on the plate, and it would probably work similar.
Now I'm holding the pyramid and the sun ring, and I'm getting this pulsing sensation, like it's rocking me back and forth.
Wow.
Which is, pretty strong if it's going to do that. It's really drawing some stuff. We're going to use the word stuff because this is family radio.
Oops.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. You do a lot of clearing, a lot of planetary environmental clearing. Have you noticed any kind of changes at all within your environment or within cities or anything that you've been working on?
Yes, I have. But they're a little more out there. Well, for one, there's where I live, there was just a place, let's say, that someone had left the evidence of doing some horrible ritual. And we felt very uncomfortable about it. So we dealt with the area with just love and light and doing a little bit of what we do. And another kind of vortex in the area opened up that was positive. And that was really kind of a magical thing. And it meant a lot to the people, the locals, who were in tune to it, because they were very in tune to local sacred sites. And I felt I kind of helped open up a healing place that was close by. So that was one very dramatic instance.
You know, it's always really interesting and cool when you can change an energy of something and remove all the negative gobbledygook out of it, and all of a sudden you've got a place where people want to come around and use to enjoyment, bring families, whereas an energy may have created a ghost town within certain areas. I know there's some malls in Winnipeg that they're just morgues. Nobody goes to these places. They've got stores, but nobody wants to go to these places. It's the negative energies, the vortexing energies coming out of the ground. Sometimes it's geopathic stresses coming up that is just creating this electromagnetism that kind of pushes you away. You don't even notice the place anymore. It's like you drive by it every day. You don't even see it. The place could be gone. They could tear it down. You wouldn't even notice it. So that's kind of the concept with the negative energies. It creates this block, this barrier that makes it almost invisible to some people.
Exactly. And if Nora and I were driving past it, we'd stop our car and do our little thing for that space. So that's kind of what we do.
When you use the orgonite to clear a space, is it possible that energy, that negative energy, that funk, is it possible for it to ever come back?
I do think it is possible. And that would be probably where your skills or what I'm learning from you is, where you find the exact problem and then scoot that exact problem. Put the orgonite there to maintain the
Make
energy.
an intent through the orgonite to get rid of whatever it is. I understand that for sure. How are you using the charts that I've sent you to help use the orgonite to help do some clearings? How are you using them?
Honestly, I've been getting familiar with your tools. I got a fancy little pyramid. Basically, I've been using the orgonite to keep the space while I'm dousing clean, and I also use it in combination with a Tesla plate on top of a chi plate to keep the pendulum clean. Because I like to keep my pendulum clean, so I put it all between each question. I usually rest it on a piece of orgonite, similar to what you do when you put it on the negativity ring.
Right. Just pull anything off of there that might be sticking to it and can give you a bad influential answer.
Exactly.
Earth energies and toxins and that type of thing. Does the orgonite help with chemtrails at all?
Yes, there are types of orgonite that basically it's what I make, but they have a copper pipe coming out of it, or 6 or 7, and they point it to the sky, and yes, it makes your skies blue. Absolutely. The only thing I've noticed is that sometimes clouds will be a little bit less likely to go straight overhead, but that's kind of a moot point if you have a lot of chemtrails. But one of the fun things I've seen about, they're called Chembusters or Cloudbusters, is that I've brought some people over to my house who were they had guests, parasitic ones. I've had them put their hand on top of it, and that parasitic guest just left. And I've done that myself, just put my hand right on top of the Cloudbuster and boom.
So when you say parasitic guest, are you talking about a rogue spirit, somebody just kind of floating around looking for fun?
Yeah, just whatever humans get. But yes, exactly. Archon, whatever you want to call those things. I just call them astral parasites, just to be general. Because I didn't douse and get the name of it. So I just it's a parasite.
It all is parasitic because they're looking for energy to suck on to keep themselves sustained so they can stay here. As a spirit, it takes a lot of energy to stay and function still here. And even to manifest themselves into an apparition so you can see them takes a lot of energy. It's a very hard thing for them to do. It's like trying to take your fist and punch it through a sheet of drywall. It's going to hurt, and it takes a lot of power. So for a spirit to manifest, to create that type of energy, to be seen, to knock things over, it's a big event for them. And you know what? I think they should all go to heaven right now because we don't around anymore. All these spirits want to do is create havoc. Now, you got to realize, let's say Adolf Hitler, of course, he's dead. Is his spirit still wandering around and trying to create wars and create trouble and create genocide? I mean, those are all things that you really have to consider when you're talking about these parasites. Who's still wandering around? Who is still trying to create trouble? I mean, there's a lot of, heaven forbid, pedophiles and rapists and murderers and all these different entities that are wandering around. You know what? Are they still trying to commit their crime? Components like this, energy tools like this, the orgonite, the neutralization rings, all of the pyramids are all things that can raise a vibration in the room of a house or in the room of your building or within your personal space to emit these things out of it so they can protect you. So the pendants, Ty, do they work well as a protection in that regard?
Yeah, absolutely. Have a couple of friends that have given them to their kids. Any orgonite you can have very close to your body really increases, I guess, your aura, your healthy aura, your light body, whatever you want to call that. It keeps it strong. So I recommend having a pendant or one of the pocket spheres, like having those around me all the time. A lot of people who've gotten my pieces do like having them around all the time and feel grumpy when they lose them and ask me for some more.
Ooh. Hey, listen to you. The box is talking again. It says, what does orgonite do when you put it by a TV set? I can answer that, by the way. It turns off negative news. Ooh. Yeah, but okay. Ty, what does it do? Does it mess up the TV?
Depending on what sort of TV you have, if it's the old-fashioned cathode ray tube or the newer crystalline LCD screens, whatever, they have their own EMF field. One of the theories is that they have huge spikes, like harmonic spikes in different spectrums, and that disrupt DNA, electrical impulses through your body, and the orgonite will basically create a more harmonious EMF field around that area it's in. So in a sense, it will be kind of neutralizing the EMF field. Now, if you want to get into the woo-woo stuff, it'll prevent any negative etheric stuff happening off your TV, which I can go into, but I won't.
The subliminal advertising that contains a flicker rate and different frequencies that are emitted daily and causes you to become addicted to certain shows or to pay attention subliminally and subconsciously to certain commercials, and then you just zombie out to the mall and you buy this stuff because you saw it on the TV and it's stuck in your mind because it's a frequency that's playing over and over and over again on a loop, and until you buy it, and then boom, you got to buy some more because, well, it's still playing in my head and I just need to buy some more.
Well, and you also have to wonder why they're using so much sigil magic on TV. So
that's all the logos and the signs, stuff like that. Yeah, we talked about that on the last show with our guests. They talked a lot about that, and especially kids watching this stuff. You take them shopping, and all they do is gravitate to something that they saw on TV, and it's like, Dad, I gotta have this. I don't know what it is, but if I don't have it, I'm going to blow up. That's what the TV said.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you make a pendulum from orgonite?
Absolutely. It's on my list. Haven't made one yet, but I was thinking of doing that. I have to find the right mold, correct shape, and I may have one, but you want one with, something with a nice pointed taper. And I'm not sure I have the right mold just yet, but I have to go through my molds and see. I think it would be an excellent idea. It should theoretically be automatically clean all the time.
That's what I'm thinking, is because ultimately when I'm working with my pendulum, and it's what I do for a living, I swing my pendulum 9 hours a day, 5 days a week. Quite often I do get interference from something that comes in, and generally it's going to be Lucifer and Satan, because I'm battling them all the time, and they'll come in and they'll give a snide answer, and they'll say something, and I'll be like, well, get lost. I want to talk to you right now because I'm battling you. I will get the odd garbled message out of my letter charts, and you have to start over, and it becomes a little frustrating because you're trying to help this person, this client, with a problem, and all you want to do is help them. You don't want interference. So to me, In a professional modality, that would be the cat's meow. If we can have a pendulum that is always free of anything silly, if you know what I mean.
I do. As you know, I douse, courtesy of learning from you, and garbly-gook and unclear messages do come through. Those it's pretty much at a minimum, but it does happen, and you go clear the pendulum. I think it's an excellent idea. I will make one, and then I'll send you one, and we'll have to experiment.
Because when I'm selling my courses, they're selling pretty good, by the way.
Nice.
People are buying them up. Check them out on my website, chriskehler.net. They are working. I think it would be a really good addition to put an Orgonite pendulum with the course.
Okay.
That would be super duper, as they say in Winnipeg. We're kind of weird that way. We like to say weird things. Yeah.
Well, I'll have to come up with a couple of designs, and then we'll have to see which the best shape, I guess, and go from there. So I need to make some prototypes and see how that works, and then I'll send you them off, and we'll go from there.
Well, that's how it all starts, with the prototype.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you build off that prototype, and then you perfect it, and then you send it to me, and we're going to move a whole lot of them. Now, what is new and upcoming for you and Nora? I know you guys are always doing something different. What are you researching right now? What are you trying to figure out?
Well, you sent me that German Kautz Vela, the black blue guy.
That's the guy, yeah.
Oh, we've been watching that nonstop. We found other videos. Oh boy, that is some of the best chemtrail Morgellons research I've heard. He has a really good explanation of scalar frequencies that the average person could actually understand. I just thought it was actually really good research. The other guy I've been really into lately is this gentleman on YouTube called Crow777, and he's been doing the lunar hologram wave that he's been filming for the last couple of years, and that's just that's as out there as it gets. Let's put it that way.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
How can you use it to block Wi-Fi?
It's not going to block the Wi-Fi. It's going to retune the electromagnetic field in the environment. And so that should be better for your nervous system, your DNA, the light body. So you're going to put it probably on it, or maybe in between you and the device, and you should feel definitely a big difference.
Sitting right in front of me, I got a Wi-Fi box. I put some shungite on it, some crystals to harmonize it out. There are people who do get some type of illness or anything from Wi-Fi. Well,
like me a couple of years ago, yes. EMF sickness. It could happen. So it's a microwave. You could be heating up the water in your body, even though slightly. You have different sorts of, I just don't think microwave going through your body is, the ideal thing. But people do need to be around it for their work and stuff. So you take responsibility for having it and try to correct some of the imbalances it's putting in the environment,
Now, I can hear somebody in the chat room thinking, smart meters. Would this help also with smart meters, which aren't so smart?
I would, if I had to live by one, I would definitely put one on top of there. Sure, absolutely.
Taping or epoxying a sphere or a pyramid or some type of orgonite would certainly change the energy. It wouldn't stop the energy coming out, but it would certainly change it, right?
That's my understanding.
Wow. Ty, this has been an amazing talk, and I've been looking forward to this for a while because you and I are working together. We're developing some energies and strategies and bouncing things back and forth off each other. And I know that Orgonite is a very big component of harmonizing energies and making them work for you instead of something negative. You can make it work for you and help you with it. It's been really interesting, my friend, and I'm hoping that we can reconnect on a higher level very soon. Our guest tonight has been Ty from Energy. Ty, thank you so much.
You're welcome, guys.
Have yourself a good evening, my friend. We'll see you again in 2 weeks. Chris Kehler out.